Hello history friends, and welcome to my cavernous kitchen/boudoir, where today we're going to be talking about makeup.
The Victorians were a bit ambivalent about cosmetics. On the one hand, one of a woman's most important duties was to be pretty all the time. Not only to keep her husband happy and out of the bars, but to cheer up everyone in the general vicinity and thereby prevent society from shattering into a million jaggedy pieces. But if you happen to say, obviously enhance your beauty with cosmetics, that was cheating, and you could be considered vain, dishonest, unnatural, and morally suspect. Some of the judgment and concern trolling around cosmetics was based in real health risks, since a lot of the commercial stuff contained traditional ingredients like white lead, arsenic, or vermilion, also known as red mercury. A minority of women used these products regularly and in large amounts, not only on their faces but their necks, arms, and chests, covering their skin in a thin layer of white paste which had a tendency to crack with the slightest movement.
The process was called enameling, and it was a notoriously difficult habit to break, partly because it gave you that diaphanous, sexy tuberculosis look that everybody was going for, but mostly because the chemicals in the paint would gradually destroy your skin, and you would need more and more and more of it to cover up the discolorations, pits, and lesions that it left behind. So makeup was morally bad and bad for you, but the beauty ideals of the time were unattainable for a lot of women. And we didn't want a bunch of uggos wandering around, did we? So society compromised, the way that society usually compromises in these situations, by doing a big old hypocrisy, publicly proclaiming that pure, natural beauty was best, while secretly acknowledging that most women were probably using something, at least some of the time.
From The Ugly Girl Papers, a New York beauty advice column of the 1870s, we reconcile ourselves to the pearly falsehood, accepting the situation with the false hair and the long artificially shaped nails and the cramped feet. Everybody knows they are inventions and accepts them as such.
For most women, the foundations of this pearly falsehood were two very simple, often homemade cosmetics: cold cream and powder.
Basic 19th century cold cream was wax, oil, water, and some sort of perfume to cover up the smell of the first three. The oils and waxes vary, but a lot of cream and ointment recipes at the time used spermaceti, or whale oil. That's because during the 19th century, the gears of progress were quite literally oiled by the deaths of thousands and thousands of whales, but that's a whole other video. This cold cream is made of half an ounce of beeswax, half an ounce of olive oil, and half an ounce of rose water, melted and then stirred together for an uncomfortably long period of time.
So here I have my cold cream. This is one of the waxier formulas. Okay, here we go. I may not have mixed the water in as well as I could have, but boy did my arm hurt by the end, so let's see if this goes on my skin. Oh! Actually, it's sort of melting into my skin. I mean, there may be small particles of wax in this. This is the Madame Tussauds look. If you ever had to wear grease paint, the old school theatrical grease paint, that's kind of what this feels like. And a lot of people use cold cream as a makeup remover now, but at the time, you were just supposed to put this stuff on and then leave it on. It's just sitting on my skin like a layer of saran wrap. I bet you the whale oil was the secret ingredient that I'm missing. This is weird because the Victorians were very concerned with having their pores open. They believed that if your pores didn't get enough air into them, you would get sick and die. That was a huge concern for them. And yet, they were slathering their faces with this stuff. The other Victorian go-to was powder. So once you had applied your cold cream, then you would place powder over top of it, and the powder would whiten your skin and hopefully reduce the shininess which was caused by applying the cold cream. Most Victorian powder, like powder today, was either a grain starch, like wheat starch, rice starch, cornstarch, or it was a powdered mineral, like talcum powder or chalk, and it was applied with a brush or a puff, like the one that I have here. It turns out it's difficult to find big floofy powder puffs these days at short notice, so I had to make this one out of a fluffy slipper. So I've concocted a very basic white powder. Sometimes they would tint it the way that we tint ours today. They didn't have nearly as many different shades, of course. I've used cornstarch and talcum. There we go. So I apply this. Oh boy. Okay. I'm going for that sort of subtle powdered donut glow. Powder manufacturers in the Victorian era, some of them used bismuth, which is a mineral. It's the same stuff that's in Pepto-Bismol. Apparently when you powdered it, it turned into this lovely white powder with a sort of a silvery sheen to it, which was very popular. Unfortunately, a lot of Victorian houses were lit with coal gas, and coal gas has sulfur in it. And if you spent too much time in a room that was lit with gaslight, the bismuth powder on your face would interact with the sulfur present in the fumes in the air, and it would slowly turn gray, which was obviously not a look that anyone was going for. How much is enough powder? I don't know, I guess. I mean, we're not going for Elizabeth I here. So now that I've successfully covered up a lot of the color in my face, I'm going to need to replace that color artificially because makeup is dumb. And for that, I will need rouge. Rouge could come in a liquid or a powdered form. I am going to make a 2-in-1 liquid rouge, which could be used on your lips or your cheeks, and was basically more cold cream with red dye in it. Obviously, I don't want to use lead or mercury in my rouge, so I have two safe Victorian options: roots and bugs. Number one is this. This is alkanet, and it's the dried powdered root of a Mediterranean herb related to borage. When you steep this stuff in oil or wax for a few hours, it produces a lovely red color, and a lot of lip and cheek coloring of the time calls for this. Number two was carmine, also known as dead bugs. This is cochineal, and these little black iridescent chunks are the dried corpses of an insect which lives as a parasite on the leaves of the prickly pear cactus. And for centuries, from the Spanish invasion of South America to the Napoleonic Wars, this was one of the only bright, stable red dyes available, and therefore it was one of the most valuable commodities in the world. People have literally died for this stuff, so that they could dye stuff with it.
Today you'll know it as E120 or natural red number 4, and if you ate something pink or red recently, I'm sorry to tell you that these little guys were probably involved.
Unfortunately, to make cochineal into nice red carmine, you have to process it. So we're going to be using plain old alkanet root instead.
This fairly typical alkanet recipe uses 1 ounce of beeswax, 2 ounces of almond oil, 2 ounces of olive oil, 12 drops of rose oil, and 3 drams, or approximately 5 grams, of alkanet powder.
So here is my rouge. You can see very, very dark maroon red color. This stuff you just put on with your fingers because it's solid. I gotta get my fingers in there. Ah. Oh wow, it's very dark, obviously. Oh wow. It's definitely not flowing or adhering as well as I would like it to. But that's probably because it's just a bunch of wax with some ground up roots in it. Oh god, it just keeps getting bigger! Alright, let's try it here. I'll try it more sort of a... So now I'm going to put some of it on my lips. As I mentioned, this is a 2-in-1. Actual lipstick in a tube didn't become available until the 1920s. So Victorian women used things that came in pots like this, or in little paper packages, or sometimes little tiny squares of paper that were soaked in color and then rubbed onto your lips. It's basically just a tinted lip balm. This is pretty much all you can get away with. I'm gonna try on here. And I shine it on here. And then I shine it on here into your hands. Alright. That was it. That's it. Okay. Here we go. Delightful. I mean, very pink now. Very, very pink. Is it because she's wearing rouge, or is it because it's 30 degrees in here and she's been rubbing her face for 15 minutes? That's a secret. Both pale and pink in all the right places. It's time to move on to the eyes. Ideally, your eyelashes would be full and dark and luxurious, and you would just have to rub a little bit of oil onto them to keep them glossy. But if, like me, you were cursed with light-colored eyebrows and eyelashes, you could darken them with something, usually something burnt, like charcoal or soot or even diluted India ink. One of the cheapest and easiest ways to darken your eyebrows and eyelashes at home was with these. A candle and a plate. So what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to light your candle, and then you're supposed to hold the plate over top of it to collect the soot. My candle. So I've been holding this plate above this candle for approximately 3 minutes, and all I have to show for it is a very warm plate. It seems as though modern candles produce less soot than Victorian candles. We're gonna have to kick this up a notch. So I have here some vegetable oil, which I was going to use later to mix with my soot. Instead, I'm going to use it to create a conflagration. Don't try this at home, kids. There we go. That's better. That should be enough. So now that I have my plate full of soot, I'm going to mix it with some olive oil, and then I'm going to apply it to my face. I'm going to use my wider brush because I think this is just more practical. To gather some olive oil here. And then apparently this is how they make tattoo ink in prison. The things you learn at the Fernie Museum. So here we go. Oh, hey. Looks just like mascara. I guess this is what you call a smoky eye. Ah! No, there it goes again. It's in my eyeball. Whoa, that's dark. Okay, nope. Nope, 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 nope. The other side. This is going to be the real challenge. Huh. That's actually not too horrible. You can mix your soot with something thicker like grease, and you could make what we would recognize as an eyeliner. But you were told specifically never to wear it during the daytime. It was only for nighttime wear, and even then you should use it very sparingly because otherwise you might be mistaken for a lady of the evening. Or even an actress. Should I try it on my eyebrows? I guess I should try it on my eyebrows. Tiny brush, and I'm gonna put it on my eyebrows. Let's see. Whoo, boy. Yeah, that's really something. I don't think so. I think you might just have to put up with not having any eyebrows. There we have it. The dewy, no makeup, morally upright look that the Victorian Instagram was raging about. Beautiful. Thank you for watching Cabinet of Curiosities. We're going to be taking a summer hiatus, but I hope to see you all again in the fall. Stay tuned and have a wonderful summer. A lot of Victorian houses were lit with Colgate. Train. Rouge. Cat. What are you doing? Come on, bugger off. Train. Makeover, 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 makeover. I actually can't see. Oh. Train!